Hi guys and welcome to our channel. Today we're going to see something that not many people get to see. We are going to a very isolated island called Panari, which translates to, in a local Japanese language, actually a dialect, to isolated or separate. You can find more information about this island by looking up Aragusuku Island. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, so it's Aragusuku Island. There's apparently about 10 people living on the island. There is very limited contact that can be made with the inhabitants. Let me hold on to our belongings. And we're just about to set off, so we'll tell you a little bit more about the whole island as we go along. Looking forward to the trip.
Here's the fantastic host now. Yo! Yeah. This is the free tea. We got the cold tea inside. Feel free to drink.
Okay.
And we have the candies just in case of you get the seasick. You might have to change your mind to avoid being bad. So yeah, just take the candies. It takes about 40 to 45 minutes today. The water condition will be pretty good. So yeah, enjoy your cruise and it's a fun.
Hey, thank you, Captain. Perfect.
Let's go! Let's go!
One thing that should be mentioned in here is that you won't be able to go to this island with one of the very standard boat tours. You have to get a private boat tour to get to Panari Island. And if you need to contact anyone, the best person to contact will be Nao. The company name is Jiujing, which translates to free spirit.
It all sounds unreal, especially when I click on Google Maps to check the location of the tiny islands below Okinawa. In case you haven't heard of Okinawa, it is the Hawaii of Japan. It gets better. Ryukyu Kingdom is home to some truly remote and virgin islands, some inhabited and some virtually untouched by mankind. This is probably the closest you can ever get to the remote of the most remote parts of Japan, which are even closer to Getsu from Taiwan. Ryukyu Islands are nothing like we've seen before, a combination of Japanese culture with a Southeast Asian twist and emerald blue waters, only to realise that the history of these islands has intertwined with the Chinese Empire.
Staying in Ishigaki gave us the opportunity to see the sides of Japan that are unique and not to be captured elsewhere in the world. And the further you get, the more interesting it gets, as the information available is not widely documented. This is how we encountered the only inhabited island with no public transport going there, the Panari Island, which appears in Google Maps as Aragusuku Island, right next to Yaeyama Island. The islands below Okinawa tend to have their own language called Yaeyama language, and Japanese is their second language.
This place can only be accessed by private boats, and only a select number of private tour companies will agree to venture out that far. The water can be pretty rough, and after all, you're going to be far from anyone's help. Luckily, this is Japan, guys, so things here run exceptionally well, and the safety in Japan comes first. Any type of interesting fish we can expect to see? Well, you can see some of the clownfish. There are like 6 types of clownfish in Okinawa. Here in Ishigaki you can see every single of them. But here at this point you can see at least 2, sometimes 3. And some of the colorful tropical fishes. And if you're lucky, sometimes like you might be able to see the turtles coming in. And so yeah, just check that out. Yaeyama Island offers a wonderful combination of the Southeast Asian tropics without having to leave Japan. It was so fascinating for us to find out about these little known gems. We were literally near the Tropic of Cancer, where the islands are surrounded by the warm Kuroshiro current. making the water so desirable and pleasant swimming. The clarity of water in the remote islands off of Ishigaki is truly inconceivable. Shame that our basic underwater camera didn't live up to our expectations, so it's probably time to upgrade our gear. As you can see, now we're super confident in the water and knew some really cool snorkeling spots. Some of them were better for more advanced swimmers and even for divers. It was fun watching below water rings underwater.
Himeji. This one, Himeji.
Enjoying my jasmine tea.
The second spot was in Ryugonone, also known as a great diving spot. No surprise, as the amazing prominent red tint of the sea flowers called Oisobana and Gracilaria have stolen the show. These beautiful plants floating in the crystal clear shallow waters of the calm East China Sea instantly made us mesmerized and left us wanting to see more of the marine life out there. They were virtually untouched, bathing in the sunlight, reaching them all the way down to the seabed. After all, who knows what secrets does this mysterious place hold for us?
Captain picked a very nice spot, which is known for diving. Good them. However, we are going to make the most of our stay here and enjoy the lunch in our little, very private group. Our captain now has prepared a bento boxes for us, so we're going to enjoy lunch on this island. So we landed in Himeji Island. This island consists of about 10 people, 10 inhabitants and 26 households, out of which the majority of them will be abandoned. It's probably best not to go too much into the island, to the center of the island where the majority of inhabitants reside. However, we are going to explore some of the local places. Check out the water, it's pristine and the color is just incredible.
Himeji or
Himeji.
Himeji and Himeji.
Himeji. Okay, I'm recording.
So it's thought to believe that Himeji and Himeji was once connected, but it was separated by a tsunami in the 17th century, which is why now they're both disconnected. This island wasn't always so isolated. Some time ago the population was much greater and reached 700 people in the 17th century, but due to a devastating tsunami the villagers were decimated and they chose to live their lives without having much contact with anyone else. The population grew older, and since there's not a single school on the island, the population shrunk. This island has no shops whatsoever, that means no onigiri or fried chicken from 7-Eleven, but luckily now brought delicious bento boxes for lunch. Also, you will not be allowed to enter most parts of the island. Consider yourself lucky if you manage to get here. The nature here is riveting.
Panari or Aragusuku is divided into two smaller islands. One, Himeji, that's inhabited, which is the one that we ended up visiting, and the second one, Shimoji, with only one inhabitant who also breeds hundreds of cows. Whilst we got to see the shrine, we did not see anyone around. Access to the shrine is restricted, so only the locals should enter it. Japanese people respect the will of the locals, and this is why the Jujing tour did not push the boundaries and trespass. And here's the surprising fact. The toilets on this island look no different to the ones you'll see in Yoyogi Park or near Kiyomizu-dera, and electricity poles are to be seen from far out. Japan never stops surprising. Apparently during the low tide, it is possible to walk between the two islands. Since our trip was very much snorkeling oriented, we weren't there long enough to see it. When standing on the cliff of the Panari Island, we saw something spectacular, the giant round shape of deep green and brown rocks that were visible without even getting wet. The coral reef here will leave you flabbergasted, and some time ago this area was home to dugong, a mammal that looks a bit like a manatee. Sadly, dugongs were caught by the locals and devoted to the shrine or to pay taxes to the Shuri government. Now also told us that Shimoji part of Panari Island is a perfect place for breeding Ishigaki beef, the very premium Ryukyu beef. We were also told that this beef is used for Wagyu beef in the mainland Japan, but since the information here is so limited, I'd rather not spread the wrong rumors. Despite not seeing any locals on our trip, we left with a sense of fulfillment. We got to see some of the most beautiful coral reefs, clear waters seen from the top of the cliff, and visited a shrine on an island that was once a thriving island, and seen the days of dugongs, the species of marine Sarinia.
Be
The third stop was on our way back near Kurashima Island. We didn't stay there for too long as the weather conditions become less favourable. The wind got stronger. When the current gets stronger, the waves get bigger and crush a lot faster, which makes swimming against the current back to the boat more difficult. The entire trip went really fast. Going against the current and crushing waves raised our adrenaline levels, and it turned out to be more like a roller coaster on the sea at times. Shame it couldn't last a little longer.
Adventure.
It was very good. I mean,
such a good day.
Snorkeling before the massive rocks and coral reefs. It's a different perspective when you're snorkeling, not just when it's clear, but it's really interesting.
Yeah, we've seen all sorts of things: sea urchins, swordfish.
Swordfish. I saw a sea snake.
You saw? Actually, I saw a sea snake as well. Well, there was the flowers, the coral reef flowers. They were really, really beautiful. The whole trip was really good and very, very well organised.
We left on time. The tour organiser's company, Now's company, in the description below.
He's a pretty good host.
And you can also, if you can't swim, if you're a bad swimmer, he's also a fantastic lifeguard, and he'll guide you through and he'll make you feel confident.
He really knows the very, very good spots to take you to. And if you're looking for accommodation, he's also got a place to stay.
We're actually staying at his place in Emix.
Thanks for watching, guys.
If you liked our video, don't forget to subscribe.